When is the Jubilee? What is the Jubilee? Why do we care? Hey everybody, my name is Aaron from God a Minute. I like to talk about Jesus coming and the rapture and sing songs and do some comedy videos and do some short studies whenever I can. We're going to get to it. If anything from this video, I want you to remember these three words: return, release, redemption. The three R's of the Jubilee: return, release, redemption. The three R's of the Jubilee: return, release, redemption. When we're repetitive and we get it into our minds, we remember things. What is a Jubilee year? Fundamentally, it's these three things. It's the return to his possession and return to his family. That's Leviticus 25. Everything that I'm mentioning in this video, you can read through Leviticus 25 with a fine-tooth comb and figure out what it is. But Leviticus 25, verse 10, it says, "It shall be a Jubilee for you." Whoops, I'll put a bit more on the screen here. "And each of you shall return to his possession, and each of you shall return to his family." I can make that a little bigger. Okay, so that's, there you go. "Shall return to his possession, and each of you shall return to his family." Verse 13, return to his possession. Verse 28, we're just skimming through this real quick here. And again, that he may return to his possession. You can read it yourself and get more information here, but just highlighting the main things here. So also it was a release of slaves and servants. Leviticus 25 verse 40, "And as a hired servant and a sojourner, he shall be with you and shall serve you until the year of Jubilee." There are more details in here, but we'll skip over to Leviticus 25 verse 54, and it says, "And if he is not redeemed in these years, then he shall be released in the year of Jubilee." That was talking about slaves and such like that. And then, of course, it's the redemption of the land. So if we go back to verse 25, verse 24, "And in all the land of your possession you shall grant redemption of the land." So again, going back to this little chart here that we did, it's a return, a release, and a redemption. The Jubilee is a very, very, very big deal. And I want you to think about this for a second. Is all these things going to be fulfilled on the rapture, or are all these things going to be fulfilled at the second coming? Pause on that thought. Let's open up to some other scripture here. Let's go to Daniel 9:24. Well, this is Isaiah. Let's go to 9:24. And I'll zoom in again here. And we've got 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sin, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. So if you look at other translations, that one word kind of translates to atonement, and it says it in this version over here. Where was it? Yes, to make atonement. To make atonement. So we think that the Jubilee is very likely on the Day of Atonement, when he's going to wrap up all these prophecies. Likely at all take place, Day of Atonement, at a second coming. That's a very popular thing to assume and to study. Isaiah 60 is another one that we wanted to read, and that's Isaiah 61, verse 2, verse 1 really as well. But Jesus spoke Isaiah 61, verse 1 and 2, but he stopped in verse 2. He reads, "To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God." So speaking about the second coming, he's still got something to fulfill there, and we do think it is the second coming. And so if we go to Luke 4 over here, I'll just show you. There you go, "To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord." That's Luke 4, verse 19, and he stops there. So he's got some fulfilling to do still, and we expect him to do some fulfilling at the second coming. Well, let's just take a little graph over here that I drew as well. So we got this Jubilee thing. This makes the most logical sense in my mind. This is my interpretation of it. I know people always have an article every year, when Feast of Trumpets passes, everybody without doubt will think that it's the Jubilee year because simply they want to just get raptured. And I guarantee you're going to find some type of evidence every single year to justify a Jubilee year. Some article here, some historical event that happened at this point and that point, and this year and this point. And there is some cool things, 1923, 1973. That is neat, but it just makes complete sense that the Jubilee year is going to be in a second coming. So we've talked about sin happening and Jesus dying exactly 4,000 years after that. That's a perfect 80 Jubilees if you're counting by 50. From the cross to the second coming, we expect it to be a perfect 2,000 years. So, if that bounce, we right now in this video, we're thinking it's 30 AD, so we're thinking second coming is 2030. But, if we're wrong or we need to bounce it off a little bit, I would expect, if this is 31, then I would expect that to be 2031, et cetera, depending on the year that you're in, right? So we all know at the end of the day that we're running out of time for everything to be fulfilled. But the main point of this is I expect there to be a perfection between the cross and the second coming, and I expect that to be 40 Jubilees. And then we have a millennial reign of what would be in the 20 Jubilees. So if we understand what the Jubilee is, I think we can understand that it best suits the second coming. Why? Because it is a return to your possession, to your family. It is a release of slaves and servants. It's a redemption of the land. And that's exactly what Jesus Christ is going to do at his second coming. He's going to return. He's going to release the captives. He's going to redeem the land. That's what he's going to do. And this is not going to be fully fulfilled at the rapture of the church, which we believe will be 7 years before the second coming, whenever that day is. Okay, so return, release, redemption is what the Jubilee means. Return, release, redemption, that won't fully be fulfilled at the rapture. We're being repetitive, so we get this in our minds that it's a return, a release, and a redemption. 3 primary R's: return, release, redemption, which doesn't make sense in a rapture year. Yes, some of us will be returned, some of us will be released, some of us will have redemption, but the entire plan will not be fulfilled in this way. The entire plan will be fulfilled at his second coming, which makes sense for a Jubilee at his second coming. So read Leviticus 25. I'm also going to link a video from Chuck Missler, who also believes the same line of thinking. Many of you know who Chuck Missler is, but I will link that video. It's about an hour long, really worth the watch. And yes, I have seen the videos of other people suggesting that this is a year of Jubilee, but I've also, this is not my first rodeo. Every year, every time Feast of Trumpets passes, people think it's a Jubilee year. Okay, I love you very much. I love everybody suggesting it's a Jubilee year. Don't worry about it. I love everybody. I think it's awesome. We're all waiting and we want out of here. But I will, moving forward, always hold, unless there's some really ridiculous, awesome evidence that it's otherwise, I will hold the view that the second coming is the Jubilee year, whenever that year is, because that fully fulfills what the Jubilee is meant and designed for. Keep in mind, the Feast of Trumpets bumps to Day of Atonement on a Jubilee year, which is a very, very significant thing. It's just a perfect puzzle piece to fit this in at the second coming. Love you guys very much. Take it easy. I hope Jesus returns soon, releases us from these chains, and gives us our redemption very soon before God's wrath, Jacob's trouble, pours on this planet. Okay, get tight with Christ. Go, Jesus, go. See you in the clouds. One day closer.
Hallelujah, I'll see